What up, though? Welcome to the war. Welcome to the You're in the Hero podcast. I'm your host, Rasta White. Now, again, if you're somebody that follow me, you probably already know this podcast is to help introverts build confidence and self-esteem, right? Introverted people who like to be in the crib, people who are shy, people who have social anxiety, people who struggle with all those things and they don't feel like they are their best self, right? I'm here to help you unleash your inner hero with all my content. In addition to the podcast, I do videos that help introverts build confidence. So the topic of today is, I want to talk about something it's pretty simple, or I would say broad. How to leverage being an introvert. How to leverage it, right? And when I say leverage, what I mean is, as an introvert, when you're trying to improve as an introverted person, a lot of times you try to just completely change who you are, most likely to an extrovert, right? You're trying to not be socially awkward by talking to a million people. You're trying to not stay in the house ever, even though you love being in the house. You're trying to always be outside. You're trying to not be alone ever, even though you love alone time, and that's how you recharge. So you constantly try to surround yourself with people and find yourself always burnt out, and you wonder why. Like, why am I always burnt out? Okay. So I could say as of recently, for me, I've recently started leveraging it and accepting it. Because the first step to leveraging something is you got to accept it for what it is. Now, don't confuse this with you are completely stuck in this box as an introvert for the rest of your life. You can never change who you are. You can change who you are. It's just very hard to change who you naturally wired. Whoever God created you to be, the natural wiring that you have, like natural meaning what happens when life happens? How do you respond? How do you react naturally? Before you get to think it through and make better decisions, what is your natural response to things, right? So that's what I mean when I say embracing who you are, meaning because you might not be able to change it. I'm just being real. You just might not have the willpower and the desire that's strong enough to really change it. There are a lot of extroverted people out there who say they went from introvert to extrovert. And a lot of people say people use introvert as an excuse to not do stuff. And in some cases that can be true, right? You can easily just be like, oh, I'm an introvert. I ain't doing nothing in my life. Like, I'm going to just be lazy. I'm going to just stay in the house. I ain't doing nothing. And that's not what this content is for. This content is to empower you as an introvert to figure out, for one, if you are really an introvert or if you're just lazy, right? And two, to help you learn like how this can be a superpower for you because it's a unique wiring, right? It's unique to you. It's your unique makeup, right? You are one of one. So that's my big thing here. My thing is to help you leverage who you naturally are, in addition to improving yourself, right? So it's that balance, or that blend, I should say. It's not about just being who you are and not ever improving, but it's also not about hating who you are and just constantly trying to improve, right? It's that balance. It's that blend. So how to leverage being an introvert? First off, let's define what an introvert is. I'm warming up, y'all. Bear with me. Let's define what an introvert is. So by definition, Google says an introvert is a shy person. I agree to disagree with that because an introvert can be a shy person, but not all introverts are shy people. When I talk about introverts, I'm simply talking about a person who likes alone time, a person who recharges from being alone, a person who loves to work alone, right? Keyword alone. A person who loves to be alone, and that's when they're at their best. If you're an artist out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you the type of artist who like to be closed off, right? You got those artists who can, for example, I rap, I make music. You got those artists who can sit in the studio with 10 other rappers. They can write their lyrics with other people around. They can record their lyrics with 1,000 people around, and they like that pressure. They like that high energy. And then you got people who are like me, because I tried that route. I never really was successful that way. I write at home, bro. Like, I like to be closed off in the room, headphones in, listening to the beat, like no distractions. And that's when the best come out of me, right? So it's about learning who you are and what environment is more suitable for you. I wrote in the studio before with one of my guys. It took me like an hour just to write one verse because it was so much going on, so many distractions. I'm sitting here trying to think, and I just couldn't do it. And he wrote his verse in like 15 minutes, right? Because he was more of an extrovert, right? So it's about figuring out who you naturally are. So leveraging being an introvert is simple as putting yourself in that environment. What environment is suitable for you? That's one. If you're productive at home, or I don't even just say at home, if you're productive working in the office space by yourself, right? You don't like high, fast-paced stuff. You don't like to be all over the place. You like stuff to be organized. You like stuff to be in somewhat control, right? That's like one trait that introverts have. It's like a superpower for introverts. When you feel like you're in control, you just be your best self. You're more confident. Like that's for me. When I feel like I have control of my day, my life, bro, I'm at a point in my life now to where I have complete control for the most part. Like I DoorDash, control, right? I create YouTube content, control. These are things I can control in my schedule and align it the way I want to do it. So it's all about figuring out what is best for you. I recently got to this point where I'm leveraging it now. I ain't gonna lie. A few years ago, I was a real estate agent. And what you think I was doing as a real estate agent? You think I was trying to find ways to attract clients that was my superpowers would, try to attract clients in a way that was suitable for me? Or was I trying to do the opposite? I was trying to do the opposite. I was going to all these networking events. I made a lot of cold calls. I did a lot of stuff that was draining me, right? I'm not saying you should never do that stuff because that stuff, it's a lot of benefits that came from it. It made me a way more effective communicator, right? It helped me get more comfortable with rejection and not take it as personal. It's a lot of things that come with that. So I'm also an advocate for you need to get uncomfortable. You need to find ways to stretch yourself. But day to day, the bulk of your time, the bulk of your energy should go into leveraging the strengths you already got. Your weaknesses, you either work on them or you just let them be. Some people, the weaknesses you got don't even affect your success. So just let them be. You can't have all the strengths. Like you can't be this perfect extroverted person who love going to parties, who love hanging out, and you perfect in solitude. You love solid. Like I haven't met nobody who is just dominant on both sides. Usually it's one or the other. Okay, so you want to leverage it. What else I got for y'all? Another way to leverage. You want to create, not even create. A superpower introverts have is deep thinking and visualizing the future and things like that, because you have this inner world in your head. You have this inner world inside you that only you have access to, and whoever you allow to have access to it, I'm sure is limited, right? But you have this inner world in you that can create such great things. Most of the successful leaders in the world are introverts. Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. I just did a video about that. Like you can go check that out, about 5 successful leaders that are introverts. It might not be up there yet because I ain't dropped it yet, but I just did a video, recorded a video about that. Barack Obama, Jeff Bezos, people you probably wouldn't really think is an introvert because they're so successful and they're great speakers, right? But a lot of great speakers are introverts. It's like being an introverted person is not about what the norm is or what the general consensus think it is. Like you just this person that's always head down, shy, scared, timid. No, introvert is all about your management of your energy. What do you prefer? High energy or low energy? High pressure or low pressure? And I'm learning myself. I'm best when I'm in a controlled environment, quiet. I can think. I need to be able to think, right? That's a superpower I'm talking about. Introverts are very good at planning ahead. So when you have that time to think and analyze stuff, matter of fact, you need that time to think. Because if not, I don't know about you, but for me, as an introverted person, I blow up or things build up in me over time. If I don't get time to think about it and analyze it and process it, I start losing my mind, right? Like I just start like, I need to, I explode emotionally, right? And that stuff isn't good because it's damaging to my family, to my relationships, right? So I'm learning to manage it better so I can always be my best self. So put yourself in an environment where you can be your best self. If it's solitude, most introverts need solitude, go get it. Another one I want to hit on is introverts are very systematic and analytical. I kind of talked about that in a way with the control. Introverts love having some type of control over stuff, and they like things to be in order. Typically, I haven't met a messy introvert yet. I'm sure they exist. But for the most part, introverts are typically like air traffic control is one of the personality traits that I took a personality test that said air traffic control was my main strength, right? So being systematic though, guess what? That's where all of the success come from. That's where all of the world is ran by systems. The world is not just ran by creative ideas, even though most introverts are creative. But without systems, those ideas are just all over the place, right? But by nature, if you're very analytical and systematic, don't let people make you feel like it's a weakness, because it is a weakness if you're in the wrong environment, like I've been. As a real estate agent in certain high energy environments, I had a lot of sales jobs. Sales can be systematic. I'm just not learning that if you approach it that way. I wasn't approaching it that way. I was approaching it the random, all over the place way. You door knocking, you cold calling, you don't really know what to expect. You can have a system though behind it. I didn't necessarily have one, but with YouTube, guess what? I don't know how many views I'm gonna get on this podcast, but I have a system. Days that I record, days I post, a certain amount that I gotta post every week. I have this system in place, and guess what? Every time I study successful people, they always talk about how they had a system. There's no successful person out there who just so random all the time. Well, maybe it's a few, but they are incredibly talented, okay? If you random and all over the place and you still successful, probably because you got a lot of talent. And not everybody is just flowing with talent, right? So get more systematic, tap into it more. You analytical, now I get it. Overthinking is a weakness that introverted people have. I suffer from it all the time, but I'm learning to use it as a strength. Deep thinking, and then take action, right? Yeah, take that time to deep think, but I force myself by just moving. Like I just keep your body moving. You get brain fog when you just sit around. So I'm learning, okay, you need to be moving around when I'm door dashing, I'm driving, I'm picking up orders, and I'm still thinking, but I'm also getting stuff done. So that's when it becomes a weakness, is when you're not taking no action. You just thinking. Thinking by itself ain't gonna do that much, right? You need to spend more time. I spend a lot of time praying now, right? Praying to God, strengthening my faith versus trying to figure everything out on my own. I have that habit. If you're listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That habit to constantly try to control everything. That habit to constantly not go to God, right? Constantly overthink it without taking action. But you just want to it's a blend. It's a blend. But discovering your superpowers is the first step. What are you good at? And a lot of times, the things I just listed off is what introverts are naturally, keyword, naturally good at. So I highly recommend you tap into those superpowers and start leveraging being an introvert. Don't let it seem like a weakness. If you want to become an extrovert down the line, okay, maybe that's something you should get into. But first, let's leverage our strengths. I kind of did it in reverse, right? Me personally, I started doing a lot of extrovert stuff, which is why I could talk on camera comfortably, which is why I can do a lot where people don't think I'm an introvert anyway. They're like, bro, you don't come across as one, like, because you can talk, you can do certain things. You don't seem too shy when it's like, but I'm like, bro, I had to work for that. So down the line, as an introvert, we are going to work on ways to get more open with your communication. You can check out some of my other introvert videos on that stuff too. I talk about that in a lot of my videos to help people improve themselves while also tapping into their natural gifts. I'm Rasta White. Thank you for tuning into the Your Inner Hero podcast. Check out those videos, like I said, and I'm here to help you unleash your inner hero. Thank you for watching.